This is Brenda Bates, Medicine Woman, and this is Medicine Women Revealed. Today I have with me
Jen Toffel, Medicine Woman.
And it is a Friday, and I have no idea. It's the 31st, is it the Blue Moon Day?
It is the Blue Moon Day.
So it's very important. Very, very important. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about many things. Somebody had wrote me and asked me a question. And so the question was, let me just find it here. It says, it was the idea that they are terrified that they're going to have to go on a vacation for like 3 years and depend on their husbands and just knowing that there's no job in town, you don't have to get up every day to go do it. Where's all that money? Where's my identity? You know, she really has. She says, I'm terrified for the idea of being without a job and not making my own money. I guess I feel as though that I'm not only am I losing my identity, but it scares me the hell out of me to have that total 100% dependency on someone else. And here's the thing, the way you address it, because she says she's terrified, I would say yes, that's what we're going to look at. But here's the thing, the identity. Your true identity is your spirit, your higher self. It is that authentic pieces of what you love to do. Now, if she didn't like her job, then I would say that's not part of her authenticity. Having a job is part of the identity, but she can create any job she wants. But being that where she's going is very restrictive, she cannot take who she is with her because she's going in a land where women are considered to be what, Jen?
They are second-class citizens to some degree, and they have to follow the man. There are certain dress restrictions and how you behave and what the manners that you have in public and that sort of thing operating in that country.
Yeah, and so here is an independent woman that knows that her identity is to work, and when you over-identify with what your daily routine is and have nothing really to replace it, it's going to cause you to have a hiccup. And this reminds me of a story of this man. He worked 52 years at this place, and he retired, and immediately, because he had really, really good health when he worked, I mean, he didn't show any signs of sickness, he's smart as a tack. As soon as he retired, it's all of a sudden he went downhill. There was nothing else there. His identity was lost. And when you lose your identity, it's important that you know, I teach people to get closure on it. Because he ended up getting Parkinson's and then and Alzheimer's, the combination of the both, and, well, then eventually died. He didn't last very long. When you over-identify with something and it's taken away from you, it's just like a death. Even if you know it's coming, but you haven't experienced that loss yet until you get up and you don't have to go to work.
Well, there's a purpose. There's a purpose. You have friends. You show up. Hey, you know, so-and-so, how's it going? How's the family? Da, 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 da. And you have people. It's the community. It's the camaraderie. It's knowing that, yes, I've got this life, but then I've also got this other life, and people recognize that, and it's like you're recognized. And that may be part of that identity. Well, or putting your identity into that.
Yeah, and another thing was when I took care of my mother for all those years. One of the things that becomes hard is that what you do is, even though you think that's your life, you're actually living out someone else's dream. You're living out their life. Like, I ended up having to help my mother live her life. In a way, you kind of do that to some degree. And I pretty much lost my identity. I'm very thankful because I was able to re-identify myself, which then takes you to Madonna. How many times has this woman been able to reinvent herself? I mean, she just reinvented it.
Right.
She just said, okay, you know what, I'm going to learn something else. You know what, I'm going to do something else. But a lot of people don't have that ability.
To keep with the times and to keep current, but not lose yourself because you become a trend or something like that. Because I'm thinking of the different styles of music that she's created was current. It was what was going on. But she had her own authenticity to say, I'm still Madonna, this is who I was, but I'm taking myself into this. I'm inserting myself into now this style music. Now I'm inserting myself into this style music.
I believe it was Tony Robbins that talked about anticipating the future. Has nothing to do with anxiety. It has to know that everything shifts and changes. To be on that cutting edge of knowing what direction that it's going to go in and just flow with it. And that way you are able not to become obsolete. You actually learn to grow in that direction you need to go. So what's important is if you're going to shift something, understand it's the identity. It's how you identify with that daily routine. It is what your frontal lobe is creating every single day. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you can create some closure, or if you can learn to anticipate, what I would definitely say is that because she has no pathway for it, it's going to scare the hell out of her. It's because it's the unknown. And she probably was raised as a woman that has to learn to take care of herself, just in case there is nobody around to help her. Mm-hmm. You know how that feels, that you have to, after a while you put on these masks and the strength that you have to maybe intimidate others.
Right, it's the fostering that sense of independence and I don't know, fortitude, wherewithal, whatever you want to call it, that I can go into any environment, walk in, and understand what's going on. I've lived in Boston. I moved around the country a lot as a kid, but then as an adult I went to college in Ohio, I went to graduate school in Berkeley, I lived in Boston, now I'm here in Michigan, I'm originally from LA, but I've been able to, I can go into a situation, apply for a job, and here, this is what I'm doing.
And you've created a pathway of that transition, which is what's important, because one of my vision quests was the transition. I wouldn't be able to just get up and insert myself in another state as far as living in another part of the world without having to know that I've got someone, I got contacts. But here was this vision quest where I'm going and nobody really to rely upon except for myself. Mm-hmm. And this is where it's not about relying upon you. It's relying upon that inner source that you have, knowing that there's resources inside of you, and that it's not about whether you're smart or not, it's about whether you can tap into that energy field of the universe to help provide you with stuff you don't know. And as I'm on my vision quest, literally, it was, oh my God, I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere. And that was like one of my worst fears was, what if I get trapped? What if I get hurt? What if
your car breakdown?
Exactly. And what I found out was because that fear, I was over-identifying with that fear and that belief, and I have no idea where it came from. I just know it came from my past and was part of the foundation because it was coming to the surface and needed closure. And I said, okay, fine. So when I used my healing tools, and thank God I had them, the universe changed it right around. Some of you have heard the story, some of you have read the story, but the idea of being stranded in the middle of nowhere, you can't even tell the police where you are. You just remember seeing a sign somewhere a few miles back.
For some town.
Yeah, and they knew exactly where to find me. Yeah. I says, well, I'm next to 2 gas stations, and I remember I just passed an overpass. I was off the road of this one hotel, but I think that was like 5-10 miles back, but I don't even remember now. And, well, which direction were you coming from? Michigan. And then what, like 4 or 5 states over?
That's right.
So, but yet they still got a direction, and the next thing you know, I don't even think it was 10 minutes. Not even, I know it wasn't that. It's like they knew, and they pulled right up next to me. You're the one just in dressed. And it's like, yes, I know. By that point, I had already healed a lot of that over-identification of the fear and the worry and the overthinking, and I had created closure to that. But at that time, it was my identity. I was freaking out. There was a lot of things that I could not handle, cope with, deal with. I didn't have a pathway. So if you have a chance to think about it beforehand, you can talk yourself out of it. You can literally convince yourself that, oh, there's a sign that says I shouldn't do it. But you have to understand, if your intuition is mixed up with fear or with an over-identification of being human, then you're probably not going to give yourself an accurate answer. So
it's interesting because I went on a sort of vision quest last weekend. That I went to a city I hadn't been before, planned on it and that kind of thing, and it wasn't that far away. And I've got, you know, my iPad and cell phone and access to different things and a car that's awesome and works, so I didn't have to worry about that. But it was still, I felt I was going into uncharted territory. I was going by myself to this destination.
Right.
And I said, oh, this is kind of like a vision quest. But it is, when you put it in, when you frame it in those terms that it's a vision quest, then it's like all of a sudden now I know what to look for, because all of a sudden I framed it into like a spiritual practice or something like that, where then I can rely upon
because
spirit and creator and
that's
God
important what she said. It is very important to change the language, because if I probably didn't see it as a vision quest, I probably would have freaked out more, you know. But at the same time, I would have had more stuff to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so before you came up with the words vision quest, what were you feeling? What were you doing?
I was feeling, oh my gosh, this is this is such an old situation. I've done this before. I shouldn't be going. Oh my gosh, I don't want to create just this awful experience. I don't even know if I should go, but I've already paid for it, and this kind of thing. And it's like, I started freaking out. But then it was like, I don't even know how I decided that it was a vision quest, but it was like, okay, I've got to go.
I think it was one of our talks we had.
Right, and it was just like, okay.
I had that new phone and I was butt dialing it, or what you call boob dialing? I don't know what the hell. I made something where I text you,
mystery
and the next thing
dialing.
I'm calling, mystery dialing. Next thing I know, I'm talking to you, and I'm like, how'd that? Okay, hello.
Yeah,
you know,
and I guess we were talking about it that way, and like I knew I sent out the angels before me and that kind of thing, that they were going to prepare the way.
And that's
it was
a very good tool.
And it was going to unfold. I just had to follow that footprint of energy.
I'm wondering if we should, like do a video on how to create your day. And, just some simple little tools that can help you to understand that life is actually a vision quest to some degree.
Well, and there was that one day I saw something in my news feed on Facebook that said, today is just going to be a day filled with blessings. Be sure to look for them. Well, I'm a minister and a medicine woman, and that might be something that would be useful every day. But on that particular day, I was like, yeah, where am I going to find the blessings? I had all these experiences that could have been negative, and I don't want to go to this meeting, and I don't want to go to do this. But then I was like, well, because I had framed the day as this message appeared to me, it was like, well, where am I going to find the blessing in this? Where am I going to find the blessing over here? It was almost like I was looking under rocks.
The shell game.
The shell game, looking for where is the blessing going to be in this situation.
That is true. And then you did, because I remember we were
I came back and I'm like, oh my gosh, all these great things happened. Yeah. It was a good day.
Exactly. So, you talked about, it was that question. The lady said, I'm terrified about now just listen, I am terrified at the idea of being without a job. Okay, how do you know that? But on a scale from 0 to 10. And not making my own money. Again, how do you know that? Put that on a scale from 0 to 10. I guess I feel as though I'm not only am I losing my identity, but it also scares the hell out of me that I have to totally rely on someone 100%. Again, how do you know that? That's the key point.
Right, and then will they have to ask for an allowance? And do I have money in my pocket? And it's that mad money thing that, okay, I want to go get that, how is this defined? As far as like, okay, you get some spending money, and there is that sense of independence when you're able to have $5 in your pocket or something like that.
Yeah, and then when you're starting that new, there's that shock wave. Yes, starting something new, if you don't have that transitional period. One of the transitional periods that I had to do is when my soul says, oh, you're doing a path switch, and which is, I'm deliberately taking with my conscious attention and listening to what my soul is asking me to do. It doesn't have to make sense because it's not supposed to, because the bigger picture is unfolding. And when you get put out into the world, you're like, what? Now you make all these chemical peptides, and that's one of the problems, is you make way too many chemical peptides because you're in a stress mode. And because you're in a stress mode and there's an overwhelming factor and an anxiety, you will make those strong peptides. But if you don't run around the corner or release it by exercising somehow,
burn them out,
then you will have an issue, a real bad issue with the transition. When I was told about the path switch, one of the big ones in my world, I'm like, you want me to do what? You know, it was, I have to not talk to my husband, but I have to allow myself to say, I'm done, I'm moving forward. And I have to have the courage to love me and know me. Well, when I did that, it scared the hell out of me that I knew the chemical peptides were kicking in, and I had to allow myself to be human. Very important you understand this, is that what you resist persists. Well, I wasn't going to resist it. I am going with the flow of every moment of what's happening, and I could feel the build-up from the chemical peptides, and it's like, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to be completely just human, no spiritual involvement, no intuition. I asked you and another peep to come with me to keep, have my back, so whatever I'm doing, I know they're going to take good care of me, and I don't have to think about that part. I'm just going to be those emotions.
Right, this space was created for you to be able to unleash and release, so that, we had your back. We had the situation, yes, and created a space for you to be able to do that.
And it was so important to do that. Because I knew that you guys had my back and you had that space, I allowed it in. I said, okay, I'm not going to let it own me. I'm going to face it, feel it, bring it through, because here's the huge thing. When you reject it, it builds up to the point where it becomes too overwhelming that it starts to kill you. And I'll explain a little bit more in a minute on that. So I let it in. And I breathed it through, and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to, oh God, and I would tell little stories, or I would just feel and just kind of be despondent, and oh my, but I allowed myself just that space, and probably within an hour I said, okay, you know what, I'm done with this part. So basically you count to 5. You let it in, you allow all these steps, and then when you have to have an exit plan, that you're done with it. Because without you being done with it, your subconscious mind is going to continue to keep playing out that role. So I start during the middle, which is the journey, and then there's an exit plan. Huge, huge importance of facing it, because again, if you are just going to deny it,
still has to be because you're still creating those chemical peptides, because for every thought that you think, and having 41 per minute,
and you don't think about all of them in that minute, you don't get to hear yourself.
Right, but you're still creating those chemical peptides,
mm-hmm,
and so if you're not going to release them in any way, they're still stored in your body. Exactly. They've got to go somewhere.
Exactly. And so you may as well use a healing tool to some closure on some. That's why I said, how do you know it? But a lot of people think, okay, if I let it go, ignore it, deny it, it will be not in my existence. That's not true. You still are going to, it's part of your foundation, you still know it, the entanglement cord, you're still attached to it, and even though you're not consciously, thinking about it, you can become second nature. Like when people smoke, they don't even realize that they picked up a cigarette and it's in their mouth. Okay, but your body is saying, I kind of need to do this because I don't want to go to this moment of where I was. I don't want to go back there. So as you, as you look at this, there's a better way than what we have learned how to handle the things that stress us. So if you deny something, that doesn't put it out of existence. In fact, the act of mentally denying something, because you are choosing to mentally deny it, affirms it because you put energy into it instead of letting it go. And letting it go is such a simple word, but not easy to do. But I asked the question, then what do you mean by letting it go? And you can stop thinking about it. Well, that's still like denying it.
You're pretending it doesn't exist, but it's like when you say think of a blue tree, as you
don't think of a blue tree.
Don't think of a blue tree. Oh, guess what I just did? I have to think of a blue tree to not think of a blue tree. Oh, now I'm not thinking of a blue tree. Oops, I just did.
Yeah, and see, the best way is to stop participating in the energy field and then move in another direction. But if it's part of your foundation of how you know it, it's not that you stop participating, you actually create the closure, which changes the entanglement cord to the law of attraction. Therefore, you won't need to draw it into you to create that situation. And that's where I say stop fueling it. If you do not like your Democratic or Republican Party, any parties, because there's so much politics out there, and everybody has their point of view, don't hate it. If you hate it or you get angry at it, do know that you have a way of knowing this. It's not that when you heal this, it's going to take your right from wrong. It's going to help you become more in alignment with and get the crap out of the way so you can start really going to what you want to do.
You're not losing life force energy to hate something.
Yes, and so you affirmed it when you go, oh my God! Well, notice how you know it. Put it on a scale, heal it, create the closure, and basically it's like parting the sea. It's like, okay, you guys can keep doing your thing, but you've unplugged and stopped fueling or feeding that illusion to stay alive. You just you learned to unplug, separate, reconnect into something that's more healthier for you. So it is very important to understand how one knows this. So that's how I would answer that for her. And in another way we could do it is on another scale, is let's draw some cards. Because, again,
well, what's interesting, we've been watching episodes of the TV show Charmed.
Yes.
And it's funny because they went back in time, and did they have their powers? No. When they went to this particular, that's interesting, when they went to this particular time period, they didn't have their powers, but they had one of the people there knew how to use things in nature and said, oh, if you use this, then this does this. If you use this, so she may be able to take some knowledge with her without having to take those tools or tangible items or things. But if she says, oh, when I'm there, I can create such and such out of, flour and sugar or apples or whatever.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because when people were hollering that the end of the world were coming, they were stocking up on water, toilet paper, and all this. And I says, that's good, but yet it's also, you don't need that. The basic thing that your soul wants you to do is that will you turn in and contemplate in and start listening so that when you bring it out, you will be directed and shown. I would have this dream. This is how Spirit told me. So let's say I bought all those supplies and I have up to 10 years worth for 4 people. And then all of a sudden earthquake came and split it. That on this side was all of the stuff about survival, of comfort and convenience.
Your supplies.
My supplies. But there was no way, because the crack was so huge, there's no way to bridge across it, or there was no way to get around it. It just split.
All you were doing was looking at it, knowing that you couldn't have it.
And that's where my focus was, and all I did was complain. This is what people do in their daily life.
I spent all that money. Oh my God, I can't get there. Why don't you help me?
Mm-hmm. And so, then as I noticed that how we do that, the whole point of survival is then to turn inward, which is what I did in the dream. And all of a sudden I said, turn around. I turned around and there was a tree. A tree that had big leaves, a tree that had food. There was all this stuff. And yes, it'll look like what you call roughing it. But I didn't go without.
You were still provided.
I was still provided for, and it was close, convenient, and I didn't have to go in the struggle that anything else bad had to occur. So now I'm going to take, and I drew a card. It's called, by Colette Baron Reed, The Enchanted Mat, and it is called Home, and it's in reverse. So, if you don't feel at home, it's time to go through a fearless inventory. What are you hiding from? Which is one thing that she was saying, that's how she noticed that she was terrified. Are you afraid of being yourself? And for over there, oh yeah, she could not be herself at all.
Correct.
More ways than one. She can't.
She's going to put on a mask and turn into somebody else for 3 years.
And you can't show you have any spiritual gifts or you have any religious differences. You have to keep all of your stuff, you have to keep your mouth shut, you have to know your manners, you have to know your place. I mean, she can adapt, but this stuff's popping up. Do you feel that you don't belong where you are? What if you choose another path? Does your understanding of home perhaps dictate that such a place must be unsafe, unstable, or unfulfilling? It is time to love yourself and create a new sense of safety and security within, which is what she will have to do. You might have chosen a situation that is familiar and led you back to the original source of your pain. No matter, because this is an important and powerful invitation to renew yourself. Say no to the pain of the past. Say no to the voice of the inner critic. No to those that want to dim your light to make themselves brighter. Choose a new home. Take refuge in knowing that a beauty and a true sense of belonging lie ahead. I mean, that's really what we've been talking about. She can do this. And then I drew another card that says about metamorphosis. That's number 25. And it is in the upright position. Butterflies earn their wings through great effort. The process of change is often painful, for it is never without losses and sacrifices. If you are to transform from one form to another, a part of you needs to die. Letting go isn't easy, especially when you're used to thinking a certain way about your life and how you live it. Just as a snake sheds its dead skin or a caterpillar dies so that a butterfly can be born, you're required to release your old ideas, embracing necessary change so you can live your best life. Perhaps you're being asked to let go of your low self-worth, a dream that no longer serves you, a relationship that is draining, or unhealthy habits. Despite your fear, you must accept that this is a transformational time for you. There will be some loss involved, but you will love what you become. And that sounds like it really is fitting for her.
Because you've got to understand where home is, what is going on, and then what will change in the process once you go through understanding that everything is within. That's a major shift and a metamorphosis in and of itself.
I do want to point out, it does not, suffering and pain and suffering is an option. And when I was consciously working with my soul, I didn't have to have pain and suffering. I had to look how I knew it in the past. And somebody say, well, isn't that pain and suffering? Well, it could be if I denied it, but I consciously made that choice of, okay, whatever it is, let it come up, let it come out, and then let us heal it. Let's create a closure to it. Because this really does not need to influence my decision. Because this is just all collective stuff that doesn't need to be there anymore, no longer serves.
And to help her not live in that fear state. Because then you'll be able to, as I was talking about earlier, look for those blessings. Where are those blessings today? Because I'm not living in that fear state of, I can't do this, and my focus is on, I can't do this and I really want to do it. That's gone, and now I can see the landscape.
Exactly. And when you think of a butterfly, this story I've told before, but here this guy was looking at this butterfly. Oh my God, he's in a cocoon and it's trying to come out. I feel so sorry for it. First of all, don't feel sorry for it, because it is growing through the stages just like we became babies and we had to learn to roll, to crawl, and to walk. That doesn't have to be suffering. So it depends on how you're looking at it. And so as he's looking at this butterfly trying to come out and it's struggling so much, he goes, oh my God, maybe I better help it. And he cuts the cocoon and it opens up, and lo and behold, he's like, okay, now go, fly. Well, because it didn't have that developmental stage of growth, its wings weren't really developed, didn't unfurl, and the fatness of the body, the juices never got to be squeezed out of it and distributed. So the butterfly is disabled now.
It was like Heimlich from A Bug's Life, where it's this really big caterpillar with these little teeny wings.
Yes.
I can fly.
But you need it. But it's how you define it. I mean, like I said, that guy kept looking and going, I feel so sorry for the butterfly. Well, should we say that to a baby? I'm so sorry you don't know how to walk and feed yourself yet?
Oh, that's too bad. Good luck.
But
here I'm going to carry. Then I'm going to carry you everywhere. That would be the equivalent. Is you can't walk, and now I have to carry you everywhere. And so then,
well, like in The Secret Garden, the book and the movie, one of the things is the child was told, don't go outside, you're going to get sick. Don't do this, don't touch that, because you're going to get sick. And the child ended up being very sickly. But when the child started to grow mentally and emotionally, that you know what, I don't have to. I don't, who knows, if I die, I die, who cares, but I don't want to live in this prison. And literally, the child learned how to grow and to breathe and to become.
Isn't that like Munchausen syndrome, where the parent, and often a mom will just decide that the child is sick. Oh, you've got these sick.
And if not, they'll give them poison to get them sick.
Right, and so and keep them in a certain state.
Exactly, and it's. But again, how do we define it? I mean, I don't pity my kid. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is who I'm supposed to help. With a butterfly, it was meant to come out of the cocoon by itself. It didn't need your assistance.
And to walk out and to actually start to breathe those wings by instinct, knowing what to do.
Exactly. And, you know, to me that's very important. Wow. It's amazing how fast time starts to go by, which is a good thing. But before we get, we go on this next break, one of the things is that we have to look at how do we handle shock? How have we programmed ourselves to handle shock?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my, OMG, yes, definitely. For me, if it is extreme shock, I get Tourette's, and my family thinks it's the most funniest thing to do to me. Boo! I don't like it. I don't think you want to hear me swear. And sometimes I'll just swear in any foreign language, and it doesn't even have to be any languages on the earth here. It's just bibbly bobbly boo, something just weird comes out. And when my husband has a certain tone, now you're going to have to fix the camera, just leave it for a minute. My husband has a certain tone, so he was in the car, and I'm driving, and the next thing you know, he had an epiphany. I'm freaking all over the place. It shocked me.
He had an epiphany. It was a good
thing. It was happy. It was joy. But it scared the crap out of me. Then I was like, And I'm like, I never get scared behind the wheel. I thought maybe I was going to hit a deer. Was there somebody there? What's going on? And he's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. And I think his tone reminds me of my dad or something, where it would just scare the willies out of me. So, how do we handle shock? We usually handle it because we don't know how to cope with it. Usually the first thing is that we have to come up with some words to define it. And usually those are swear words or oh my God. But do we really need to do the next step, and that is to complain and to be upset that it's in present. Learning to retrain ourselves so we don't always have to act that way. And she says, oh, I'm in shock. She says, blah, 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 swear, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I swear to God I heard her say, oh, I need to stop swearing, or I need to stop doing that. And so I asked her then, she goes, no, that's not what I said, but, now that Spirit's brought it up, it's probably a good thing we actually heal this. I hope you enjoyed that song, I do. Alrighty, we answered the question. Now there's another question we have, and it was electrical issues. Okay, she says, well, what really happened to her is that the batteries go dead on her phone, nothing big, but she's been noticing everybody around her have electrical issues. These electrical issues are about the wire will get caught on fire inside the wall and burn up that part. Nothing, no death, no losing houses.
But then somebody was having electricity come through the water, and somebody's air conditioning also the fuse was being blown on that, and other type of things. And so it's the people around her. It's not her electrical things like her phone or iPad or whatever else wasn't keeping a charge, but she was noticing these sparks of things around her.
And that's what I'd call one ring out. There's your inner ring, there's you inside. That it happens to you, and everything just happens right in your face and just keeps going. The next ring out usually means that you have resolved something, so it's not really happening to you, but you see it on the next ring out. And you're like, oh. But then if you see it on the next ring after that one, which it means it's not our family and friends, but now all of a sudden it's a friend's friend, you're like, wow. So you get enough synchronicity happening from the universe to point to the direction of, pay attention to this. So the question is okay, so why is that happening? Because
it's not just once or twice, it's several instances.
It's stuck out like a sore thumb and says, pay attention to me. Well, this is what's important to understand. This is where you now then usually put it on the shelf, and you can ask the questions of the universe, or even the soul coaches, because that's what we are. And before we go any further, some of you may noticed in the video, hey, where did the apprentice Scott come from? He got today half a day off from work because it is Labor Day weekend, and so he was able to join us. And hi, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Hello, everybody.
So now he's here. So we're going to, in this case, this is where you just take the deck of cards. Okay, so why is it that she has seen all of these signs of electrical issues? Now remember, this is about her because it's
because she's noticing it's her world.
Yes.
She's saying, I'm looking at what's happening to the people I know.
And it's not that it's information she has to pass on to them, it's just that it's much as it's the sign and synchronicity is meant for her.
So the first card from the Enchanted Map about this situation is the compass. You're entering uncharted territories right now and can expect wonderful new experiences. Romance and other material achievements can't help you find your true path. They are simply things you may experience along the journey. Know that Spirit is working in your life. So even if you feel lost temporarily, it will be easy to find your way. Have faith and trust, for your compass with Spirit as true north will ensure that you'll never be lost, even on a starless night when all seems dark. And then you had the card come up, which is known as Deep Freeze. So pointing the compass to true north and then deep freeze. The cold winter beckons you to slow down and put a freeze on things that are not yet ready to bloom. It's time for regeneration and hibernation. Oh, so the waiting room. Forgo ambitious activity. A pregnant pause allows ideas to gestate, projects to shift and change, and relationships to go through a dreamy state of being, not going anywhere, not needing to. This is also a time to put all your arguments on ice. Nothing beneficial will come from any of them. Self-care is the most important activity now, so reflect, read a good book, or get a massage. Rest and dream.
The two together, what's it saying?
So know where you're headed. Know that you are being directed by the omniscient force.
So consciously listening to your soul
Spirit.
and spirit and all of the stuff around you and say, aha, okay, I need to pay attention to that. Then this one was?
Don't force anything. Just sit back and notice what's happening. If you feel like you've got some projects or you want to do some things, research. You may have the idea that you want to do this, but maybe some research needs to take place. So a waiting period because you don't want to force it to happen. You're in that direction, but you're not going to force it right now.
Exactly. And now I'm going to just personally pick up the energy of this person. You know, all that means is that their signature is out there and it's designated about this person. Let's just give me a second here. Why is there electrical issues? They're saying that the water element inside of her is not mixing with her electrical part of herself so that she can have the energy she needs to move forward. The juice is not flowing. And in this case, it's hooked to dread. She needs to look at and know what dread is and start defining it. Now, knowing that I know her mother, her whole world was nothing but dread. She says, no, it's not. But when she had to do the spiritual investigation and to take and define word dread, I just want to say I'm going to use the golden lasso and I'm just going to throw it out there. I need a new camera and I'm just going to bring it to me and allow myself to say thank you, and I will have a new audio video camera. Alrighty, so we were talking about electrical issues and
the water
the dread.
element.
Yeah. And so the bladder and the kidney meridians are the water element, and the kidney meridian is about dread. And I said her mother, okay, so what you're going to do as far as the spiritual investigation, this is your active part, your consciously active part you're taking to play. is that you take the word dread and you start defining it for yourself. Then you go to your friends, and then you listen to how other people, how else would people in the world define dread? Then you go to the dictionary, any dictionary, several dictionaries, I wouldn't say just one, define that, and then look at the thesaurus. And what will happen is that you will start to find how you know what dread is, and how...
And words may all of a sudden trigger something that you didn't know was sitting there, but when you hear a word or the vibration of that word, all of a sudden it may trigger a memory that pops up that you are like, oh, yeah, I do know this.
Yes, and you do know this, and you're like, there, and it just happened a few minutes ago. It becomes part of your daily routine, knowing that this is, her mother already had done this and is breaking free from it. Chances are it's going to hit the genetic line, the family line, and you picked it up right at the time you were in the womb. Okay, so
it's part of the encoding or DNA in the family.
Yes, very good, very good. So dread seems to be the thing that's her soul doesn't want her to do anymore, because now it's going to end up dragging her, and the water. She always says, "Well, I have water issues." So the water issue is based on, like for instance, when you've been abandoned, okay? I went and did it to the point where I became such an extremely good girl, hoping that my mother would turn around and say, "Oh, I acknowledge you and I love you, and all that pain is gone." And that she'll stop going to work and she'll just take care of me, because it happened when I was 2. And then there's the other extreme, which is you go from being who you are, which probably was a happy little girl, to the rebel. And there's nothing wrong with the rebel, except for, just like the good girl, it puts these limitations on you, and you end up transforming who you are, and you change yourself, not your inner world, but you change yourself, that I've got to act this way, I've got to behave this way, I got to do all these things, and
then people start expecting you to behave in that fashion. I know, because I played the rebel for many years in my life, and now that I want to transform that, people are still anticipating that about me. They're still, they're expecting that knee-jerk response from me when they say something, and it's like, I'm really going through this transformation and deep healing, but people are expecting that of me.
Aha, yeah, because this becomes more of your persona.
And it's depleting, because I don't want to be that person.
My husband had a dream a couple nights ago, and simply where, if you want to explain it real short, about how the man had something. He had a book or something of yours?
I can't remember what.
Okay. Anyways, it goes into putting on your persona. Everybody in a dream that you see as men or women, they are part and characters of you, aspects of you. So you have this man that was protecting this well springs of life, the spring, the water, and Scott knew he had to go have...
a machine is what he had, some little... I don't know what it was.
That's why I said I wanted you to tell it.
Okay.
But he had it, and he was saying, nah, you have to go through me to get to that. In the beginning, he's like, were you running from him?
I was trying to get away for some reason. I was trying to get away because I felt he could cause me great harm.
Okay, so...
Even though neither of us are armed in this situation or nothing like that, maybe being a dream and all, so... But
he was trying to get away from that until he started to provoking it.
He said, I'm just going to wait for you. You'll have to come back for water here. It's the only source of water. So I just...
Well, water's about the emotions. And that, and he said it was like a machine. So there's a part of you that's a machine, and he knows he's going to need it. But as soon as he was provoked, now this character in his dream is this persona that he provokes people. Like when he played games, he provokes people. And when he does certain little things, he provokes people. And what does it mean when people provoke you? You're trying to get a rise out of them. What else?
I guess so.
What else? What was he trying to get from you?
A response?
I don't know. I didn't figure that out. What he was trying to...
So, all I can tell you is, since he's an aspect of you, what character, what persona did you have to put on? What mask did you have to put on so that you could function in the world, just like Jen had to put the rebel on and I had to put the extreme good girl on?
I had to put the mask on, I guess, of the person that would deal with situations like that.
Deal with situations like that. That's very good. See, he had to become how he knew how to deal with it. Because it boils down to safety, and it boils down to how we're going to cope and make sense of our world. In this case, Scott had to put on the type of character that says, that's how you deal with this. But in the dream, he's like, okay, he was running from him, and then all of a sudden, because the guy provoked him, he says, oh yeah, put the car and stop going in reverse.
Well, I think he wanted to, I felt he wanted me dead for some reason. So I thought, I'm not going to tolerate that. So
Alright, so now look at this.
Even though I was backing away from him and his vehicle, I took his vehicle, whatever he's driving at the time, and he provoked me. He says, I'll get you, because you'll have to come back here. I said, forget that. And I put it in drive, and I floored it.
Yes. Now, it's interesting.
I run him down.
It's interesting
and he
because...
bounced like a cartoon. Instead of running him over, he bounced like 50 feet. Boing. It was a dream after all, you know.
Number one, he bounced that character apart, which means he needs to resolve it and get rid and create closure to it so that it dissolves. Two, the vehicle was the other guy's, but the thing is the vehicle is the physical body. Scott wants his body back. Scott wants to possess who he is, his emotions, and not have to put on this mask, characteristics, and to do this. Because the dream he had before, that was that there was a dinosaur, and he said it was a 2-story house, you know, type structure.
A
big building, but it was the second floor is what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
The second and upper floor represents your higher self. And the part where it's not carrying all the excess baggage. So when he was up there, he was behind, you know, watching, and this Triceratops started running. Dinosaurs usually represent stuff, old stuff that you have to get rid of. In this case, it was ancient stuff that was opportunities of helping him become who he wants to become. And so the Triceratops was coming after him, and he shut the door on it to protect himself, but he shut the door to the opportunity of bringing in that ancient memories so that he can become who he is. So he's saying, I'm not quite ready to become what I could be. But then when he had that dream about that guy, he's like, I'm ready. I'm going to take my body back, and I'm going to step into the emotions that I need to and I want to, and I don't have to be told no, so I'm going to run that over. He's going to get rid of that part that says you have to act this negative way. So he's like, no. So you're with me so far about how this works?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So it's important to understand that there are certain parts of ourselves that we have mile markers where our soul goes, just like when we're children, we have mile markers, and then we have adult markers. And our soul is ready, in this case for her, is ready to move forward. Her emotions are, she says she has trouble drinking water and having water. Well, that's probably with a certain emotion that she can't maybe address a process. It's
because
so deep.
The water is not assimilating into her system to nourish itself properly, where you can drink all the water that you want to, but it's like it's just sloughing off. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing in the body.
Exactly. And because it's not doing that, how do you want to put it? Because it's not doing that process, it's stored, it's